Have you ever watched a child, fully immersed in a screen, their face softly lit, eyes wide, breath still, and wondered what's really happening inside their mind? Not just what they're watching, but what's shifting, forming, wiring, deep beneath the surface. In this space today, let's take a gentle step into that unseen world, not to judge, not to panic, but simply to understand. Because with understanding comes compassion, and with compassion comes conscious change. Children today are growing up in a world where technology is no longer optional. It's everywhere, from lullabies played on smart speakers, to games in the grocery store line, to bedtime stories on glowing tablets. Screens are no longer tools. They are companions, comforts, sometimes substitutes. But what does this constant presence mean for a developing mind? How does it shape the way a child feels, connects, waits, or thinks? Today's children are born into a world where screens are part of the air they breathe. Unlike us, they don't remember a time before technology. To them, a touch screen isn't a marvel, it's simply normal. It soothes them, stimulates them, sometimes even raises them. From lullabies on YouTube, to bedtime stories read by AI voices, from colorful apps that teach numbers, to games that reward with sparkles, technology becomes a child's first companion long before they can even form sentences. This isn't about blame. It's about awareness, because when the digital world is introduced so early, it doesn't just entertain, it shapes. The developing brain is malleable, sensitive, open, and each screen interaction leaves a subtle imprint on how a child focuses, how they connect, how they soothe themselves in times of stress. Technology isn't inherently wrong, but it's powerful, and power, when left unchecked, doesn't nurture. It overwhelms. So as parents and guides of these young souls, our role is not to fear the digital world, but to meet it with presence, intention, and love. Each tap, each reward, each burst of music, animation, or applause, it triggers a release of dopamine, the brain's reward chemical. It feels good, so the brain remembers. And like soft grooves on new snow, the more often the path is traveled, the deeper it becomes. Over time, that little mind begins to crave the next ding, the next level, the next like. Stillness starts to feel unfamiliar. Boredom becomes unbearable, and silence almost scary. Because silence doesn't give rewards. It doesn't flash or sing. It doesn't light up the brain like fireworks, but it does hold space for deeper things to grow, like patience, creativity, inner balance. Yet in a world where every moment can be filled, the brain forgets how to be still. And the heart, it begins to race, even in rest, even in peace. This isn't addiction in the dramatic sense. It's something quieter, gentler, more invisible. But it shapes a generation who might one day reach for their phone, not out of choice, but because stillness has become too loud. And that's why awareness matters, not to control the child, but to protect the space where their mind can breathe. You might remember the marshmallow experiment. A child is given a choice, one marshmallow now or two if they're willing to wait. The children who waited, who sat with their impulse, their craving, who looked away, sang songs or closed their eyes just to hold on, those children often grew up with stronger focus, greater self-control and deeper resilience. But what happens in a world where almost nothing requires waiting anymore? Where hunger is answered with delivery apps, curiosity with instant search results, boredom with endless scrolls? When everything is swipeable, skippable, streamable, what happens to patience? Where is the space to sit with longing, to feel the quiet ache of anticipation, and to realize we don't always have to have something the moment we want it? Waiting is not just about time, it's about capacity to hold, to breathe, to trust, to know that something beautiful can still be coming, even if we can't touch it yet. And when that capacity fades, we raise not just children who want things fast, but children who may never feel the quiet joy of things arriving slowly, in their own time. Here's something we don't always see at first. Screens don't just entertain children, they often soothe them, distract them, rescue them. When a child is bored, they scroll. When they're overwhelmed, they watch. When they feel sad, they swipe the sadness away. At first it looks harmless. They calm down, they stop crying, they become quiet. But in that quiet, something is missing. Because when we use screens to stop emotions from rising, we also stop emotions from being seen. And a child who never learns to sit with discomfort may grow into an adult who runs from feeling. They miss the chance to say, this is anger, this is loneliness, this is fear, and it's okay to feel it. The ability to sit with big feelings, to name them, to breathe through them, and to know they'll pass, isn't something that comes naturally. It's something we learn little by little in moments of presence, not distraction. And no, it's not about blame, it's about remembering and choosing again with more awareness, more softness, and deeper connection. What if the answer isn't to remove screens entirely, but to reclaim something far more precious, sacred space? Moments in a day that are protected not by force, but by intention. The dinner table, not just a place to eat, but a place to share stories, to make eye contact, to laugh and to feel seen. The hour before bedtime, not flooded in blue light, but filled with softness, a warm voice, a story, a quiet good night. A child's bedroom, not a second living room for videos and games, but a sanctuary, a place where their nervous system can exhale and their imagination can rise without interruption. These boundaries, they aren't punishments. They're not rigid rules or heavy walls. They're love shaped into space. They say, this moment is for you, and I'm here with you, fully. Because when a child grows up with spaces that feel safe and slow, they learn that presence is possible, even in a busy world. And that's the true purpose of boundaries, not to limit life, but to protect the parts of it that matter most. You don't have to be a perfect parent. You don't need to always get it right. You don't have to know the latest research or have the perfect words. What your child needs most isn't perfection. It's presence. Not the kind of presence that multitasks while nodding, but the kind that sees, that pauses, that makes room. Your undistracted, gentle attention is more powerful than any app, any strategy, any how-to guide. Sit beside them. Watch what they're watching. Ask not to control, but to understand. Let curiosity lead. When you laugh with them, wonder with them, you turn screen time into shared time. You soften the boundary between their world and yours. Even a few mindful minutes can shift something deep inside a child, a sense that they're not alone in what they love, not invisible in what they enjoy. They feel met, held, not for what they do, but simply for who they are. So no, you don't have to be perfect. But when you're truly present, yet you become exactly what they need. Children are always watching, not just what we tell them to do, but how we move through the world, how we handle stress, how we rest, how we love. They learn far more from what we model than from what we say. If they see us constantly checking our phones, they learn that distraction is normal, that attention is fragmented, that being half present is okay. But if they see us pause, breathe, look into their eyes when they speak, choose presence over urgency, they learn something else entirely. They learn that connection matters, that being here now with the people you love is a choice worth making. So maybe the most radical thing we can do isn't to take screens away from them, but to gently set ours down first, to show them that we too can choose to be still, to listen, to sit in silence without filling it. Because in the end, our children won't just remember what we said, they'll remember how it felt to be around us, and sometimes the way we look up teaches more than any words ever could. Let them get bored, because boredom is not a problem to solve, it's a doorway to creativity. It invites the mind to wander, to imagine, to make something out of nothing. Let them move, let them run barefoot, let them fall and get back up, because their growing bodies are not meant to be still. Movement doesn't just build strength, it shapes the brain, fuels emotions, and connects them back to the earth. And let them sleep deeply, in darkness, without notifications, without the soft glow of screens beside their pillow. Because true rest, the kind that heals, happens when the nervous system feels safe and quiet. Screens can't replace sunlight, or trees, or scraped knees, or the sound of your voice reading their favorite story again and again. And the truth is, they were never meant to. So before we add more programs, more apps, more noise, let's remember the beauty of what already exists. play, stillness, nature, rhythm. Give them back those simple things. They are not small, they are foundational. Sometimes it's not about how much screen time a child has, but what they're engaging with, why they're reaching for it, and who is with them in those moments. This is where the 3 C's can gently guide us: content, context, connection. Begin with content. What are they watching? What kind of messages, energy, or emotions is it bringing into their world? Not all digital content is created equal. Some uplifts, some numbs, some confuses. Then notice the context. Is the screen being used as a tool for learning, a moment of joy and creativity, or is it a reflex, a way to escape boredom, sadness, or overwhelm? And finally, connection. Because more important than any app or filter is your presence beside them, your willingness to join their world, to ask, to wonder, to be emotionally available, even in a digital space. Technology itself isn't the enemy, but disconnection is. So when in doubt, come back to the C's, not as a checklist, but as a compass. A way to stay close, aware, and lovingly involved in a world that often pulls us apart. You don't have to fix everything tonight. You don't need to overhaul routines, uninstall every app, or create perfect plans. Just begin by becoming aware. Aware of how often screens fill the silence. Aware of when your child reaches for stimulation and when you do too. Aware of the little moments that pass unnoticed, the look away when they speak, the scroll during dinner, the bedtime story that gets replaced by a screen. Awareness is quiet, but it changes everything. Because your child's relationship with technology starts with your relationship with them, and your relationship with them begins with presence, not perfection. Even in a world overflowing with information, entertainment, and noise, your calm attention, your grounded energy, your loving presence will always be the most powerful form of connection. So start small, start soft, and keep choosing to show up one quiet, conscious moment at a time. And if this message speaks to your heart, if it gently reminds you of what matters, you're warmly invited to subscribe. Let's keep walking this path together, with presence, with grace, and with love. Until next time, thank you for watching.